All right, the left continues to push for this critical race theory in really every aspect of American life. Now, people are starting to wake up to it and stand up to it, including, and you've got to look at this carefully, watch this father-daughter duo who made a video explaining why it does not work. Check this out.
How we treat people is based on who they are and not what color they are.
And if they're nice and smart.
See, this is how children think right here. Critical race theory wants to end that. Not with my children. It's not gonna happen. But we need to stop CRT. Period. Point blank. Children do not see skin color, man. They love everybody.
Boy, every time I've seen that, and I've seen it several times now, it just blows me away how wonderful that is. Now, joining me to talk about that and some other things, my great pal, former Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Dr. Ben Carson. Ben, I'm sure you've seen that clip, and if not, you saw it just now, I hope. And by the way, welcome back to the show. You know we love having you. What do you think about that? That's quite an extraordinary thing to see at this point in our somewhat dubious history. What's your thinking about that? And do you know these people by chance?
I don't, but I'm very proud of them for standing up for what they believe in and not just wanting to be part of the crowd, which is, I think, the case with many, many Americans. Many Americans think the right way, and they don't buy into this critical race theory, but they're afraid that they're going to be canceled or penalized in some way. And therefore, they just sit over in the corner quietly and put their head down and hope no one calls them a racist. You know, we have got to get beyond that. We cannot allow the left to continue to dominate the conversation and put forth things that are clearly un-American. Have we done things that are wrong in the past? Of course we have. All people have. But, you know, trying to create tremendous guilt among a large segment of our population, including innocent children, is actually quite cruel. I think it's child abuse. And we need to fight back strenuously against that.
Ben, you watch it, I'm sure. No, go ahead.
Larry, it's one of the things, by the way, that we are working vigorously on with the American Cornerstone Institute and our Little Patriots programs coming along very nicely with interactive, beautiful lessons to teach them the true history of America, who we are, warts and all. And I think that's what we need to do.
You fighting this in the schools? You know, it's funny. In the last segment, I was talking to Elise Stefanik, how Republicans have, quote, taken to the mattresses, I'm sure you're familiar with that term, to fight off tax hikes by Biden. Now, I guess my point or question to you, since you raised it and it's so important in terms of your foundation and think tank, are you taken to the mattresses to defend the kids in school from this crazy critical race theory that seems to be spreading everywhere?
Unfortunately, I lost most of that question. It went out on me. But
here, I'll give it another shot. Are you taken to the mattresses to stop this crazy critical race theory that's going on everywhere in the schools?
Absolutely. And I am very proud to see parents standing up all over the country and recognizing the damage that this is doing to their children. Their children are trying to develop a sense of who they are, their self-image. And if you taint that with hatred and just historical inaccuracies, what is going to happen to the personalities of those young children? And I think it's so important for conservatives across the board to understand that what we are fighting against, this is just one aspect of it. We're fighting against people who want to fundamentally change this country and make it into a kind of place that none of our children should have to abide.
You know, Ben, have you seen the story that in the last bailout bill, the last relief bill last winter, there was a provision in that bill that had, I don't remember how much money, several billions of dollars were allocated to small businesses and family farms and things of that nature to help them reduce the debt that they incurred during the worst of the pandemic shutdown. Except, Ben, white people need not apply. That is in the statute. You've probably been all over that. I've been, ever since I discovered it about 2 weeks ago, I've been harping on it almost every night. Anyway, A, can you believe it? And B, how does this happen in America? How does this kind of thing happen in America?
Well, you know, there's a saying, two wrongs don't make a right. And, you know, by withholding aid from certain people on the basis of the color of their skin, how could anything be more racist than that? About the only thing I know of more racist than that is the current president saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So, I mean, this is beyond belief racist when you're denying people benefits on the base of race. It doesn't matter who the people are. And I think, again, the vast majority of Americans do not think that way. I don't think most Americans give it two thoughts about what color a person is anymore. There are a few, but, you know, the country is so different than when I was a child. It's beyond belief different. And we should celebrate the progress that we have made. Doesn't mean that we stop making progress, but let's make it in a logical and fair way. It's supposed to be liberty and justice for all, not just for the group that you want.